Tonight we're gonna make love. You know how I know? Because it's Wednesday. And Wednesday night is the night that we usually make love. Monday night is my night to cook. Tuesday night we go and visit your mother. But Wednesday we make sweet weekly love. It's when everything is just right. There's nothing good on TV. You haven't had your after-work social sports team practice, so you're not too tired. Oh, it's all on. You lean in and whisper something sexy in my ear like, I might go to bed now, I've got work in the morning. I know what you're trying to say, girl. You're trying to say, oh yeah, it's business time. It's business time. It's business. It's business time. I know what you're trying to say. You're trying to say it's time for business. It's business time. Ooh, it's business. It's business time. Oh, yeah. Then went in the bathroom, brushing our teeth. That's all part of the foreplay. I love foreplay. A shake, a shake, a shake, a shake, a shake, a shake. Ow, ow, ow. And you sort out the recycling. That isn't part of the foreplay process, but it is still very important. Next thing you know, we're in the bedroom. You're wearing that baggy old ugly t-shirt you got from your work several years ago. You know the one, baby, with the color stain. I remove my clothes very, very clumsily, tripping sensuously over my pants. Now I'm naked, except for my socks, and you know when I'm down to just my socks, what time it is. It's business. It's business time. You know when I'm down to my socks, it's time for business. That's why they call business socks. It's business. It's business time. Yeah. Make a love. Make a love for. Make a love for two. Make a love for 2 minutes. When it's with me, girl, you only need 2 minutes. Because I'm so intense. You whisper something sexy like, is that it? I know what you're trying to say, girl. You're trying to say, oh yeah, that's it. And you tell me you want some more. Well, I'm not surprised. But I'm quite sleepy. It's business. It's business time. Business hours are over, baby. It's business.
Wow. All right. Welcome, everybody. It is the On and For Fan brought to you on a special Thursday and a special guest in there. We got the 3-time in there. 3-time, how we doing? Good to see you on this first episode of 2025.
Doing fantastic. Just getting, back into the groove. Had the last 2 days off. It was really nice to start my year off. I like to end my year with the night off, and I like to start my new year with the day off. So
I always said that was one of my biggest things. Even man, I never wanted to start a new year January 1st at work. New Year's Eve, whatever. If I could get it off, that would have been fine. Obviously, in the hospitality industry, that's pretty tough. But I just never wanted to start a new year at work. So we definitely share that same mentality, especially where you work. Because let me tell you, I was over in that area Saturday. And holy moly, man.
Yeah.
Well, I have to ask this, though. If you don't know, the 3-time works over here at Boathouse, place that we've all worked at. Great place down in Disney Springs. If you're ever down there, make sure that you go see him. I have to ask, though, because I met somebody over there, I think it was like 2:30, 3 o'clock. And I understand now that the Grapefruit Garage, they've opened it up for everyone. And
Correct,
so you
correct.
guys are just thinning for your trying to figure out where to park, having to show up hours early for work, obviously not being compensated. That's a whole different communistic approach that we could talk about later. However, so I was there. I met him on the 4th floor at 2:30 because all 3 floors were full already. And by the time that I left at 2:50, the 4th floor was full.
Yep.
And to me, I saw the Boathouse put out on their story, if you're coming, during this time, be sure to come early because, parking this, that, and the other. Does it hurt? Does it hurt the business a little bit? Like, because I mean, obviously not all of these people are going just for the restaurants. They're shopping. They're doing all of the other stuff that Disney Springs. But like at a point, comes to a point you can't even get in there. You can't even do anything. You can't find parking. You can't wade through the crowds,
Very much so. It's been, I will say, since Christmas, it's been very difficult to get in and out. I worked. God, did I work Saturday? I don't even remember. My days off are so hit and miss. I know I left early. I worked Sunday. Sunday I worked with Mark on their bar. Saturday I didn't work. Thankfully, Friday I got there at 1:00, and at 1:00 on Friday after Christmas, the Orange Garage, Lime Garage were already full, and Grapefruit was at 60% when I got there at 12:30. So when I left on Sunday to go to work, I left 15 minutes earlier than normal, and I ended up parking behind the gas station. It was that bad. I literally, when I got to do the U-turn, there were 2 lanes, both lanes to turn into Grapefruit were already backed up to where Typhoon Lagoon was. I'm sorry, where cast parking is. And so when I pulled in, I just said, all I saw was red. It said full. So I just said, screw it. And I pulled in on the right and parked behind the Speedway and had to do the long walk, which the crazy thing is, so because they opened up Grapefruit, they've opened it up in the past, but not to the extent where everyone is parking in Grapefruit. The line was across both bridges and down the stairs to get in through security. So they had told people on Friday and Saturday, listen, if you're coming in, apparently on Saturday, what they did was they had cast members there saying, hey, if you are working, stay to the left and just walk past everybody. So on Sunday, when I started doing that, I got dirty looks. I got people throwing shoulders at me. I'm like, hey, and I finally,
even though you're in uniform,
full uniform, I pulled up my ID. I'm just walking like this. I wish I had these headphones to walk past people because I was getting, hey, what are you doing? And I just kept going. I said, I'm not waiting. And it ended up being me, somebody from Dockside Margaritas, a server from Terralina, and then an actual security guard. We were like this little 4-man group that we just started going, and we all had backpacks on, and we just were head down, just keep going. And some random dude ended up jumping in with us, left his family back on the second bridge and just started walking with us. And he got to the end of the stairs and people are like, what are you doing? And we're like, we need to go.
He's just scouting it out.
He just came all the way with us. And we got to the bottom of the stairs and security looked and said, cast members, go to the left. And we went past everybody. And we're like, no, we're not waiting. Like this is, like I said,
it's
I
pretty bad.
I left my house at 3:00, which is early for me. I got to the parking garage or the Speedway at 3:16. I ended up getting into Boathouse at 3:39, 3:40. So it was a 20 plus minute walk to get from where I parked to get to
absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Welcome in, John and Justice. Welcome in. Justice obviously giving Jeremy his kudos. That it is, John, it's not GM of the year, bro. It's GM of the decade. It really is, Shout out to all those fantasy people out there that won your fantasy football leagues. If you're still playing this week, you need to talk to your commissioner about why the hell he has it set this long. And to bring that up, I think this is the first year that the NFL did the Christmas stuff. And let me tell you, that was a fantasy nightmare.
Yeah.
An absolute fantasy nightmare because I had people playing Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. And my biggest issue was Wednesday afternoon. T. Higgins and who was the other one? And Rashad Bateman.
Yeah.
Both end up questionable.
Yep. Yeah.
And I have Josh Downs. Yeah, I have Josh Downs sitting on my bench. who I honestly wanted to play over Rashad Bateman.
But you can't make the decision.
But I couldn't do it because I didn't know if they were going to play. And even if they did, if one of them played and then the other one didn't, and I started what a nightmare, man. That's got to get fixed, NFL.
Jeff always tells me you never start a flex player on a Thursday night game. If you're confident, you put him in the starting lineup and leave a flex player so you can move him out on Saturday or Sunday or Monday.
We're talking about Wednesday.
I know. I couldn't do it. Trust me, I had Bateman too. He got me 2 points. I ended up losing the little league. I was playing for third place. I lost by 2.5 points. George Kittle nearly did it for me Monday night. He got me 24. I needed 28. Or he got me 26. I needed 28. It was a rough weekend.
Well, I will say this, and I know Buff's not in here because, God, I know Buff would have been going off the rails right now because due to some seating errors, he really kind of got screwed by this.
He was talking about it on Monday. He was not a happy camper.
Honestly, I wanted to go up against Joe, and I'm glad that I didn't because obviously I wouldn't have won. But it was just the way that it went. I was the highest scorer in round 1, highest scorer in round 2. And then obviously just the championship, but even the boys at the bottom, I mean, Mikey that was in like last place put up almost 200 points on championship week. Like I said, it's not about that. It's about just getting to the chip, and the boys finally got it done. Like I said, I was looking between Rashad Bateman. It was T. Higgins and Devontae Adams. I apologize. We're all questionable. So
yeah.
None of them got me any points. Thank you. A big shout out to Lamar Jackson and a big shout out to T. Higgins. You two obviously carried my team out of the 141 points I scored. They had 80 between the two of them. Shout out to them. Shout out for all the champions out there. A big shout out to Jeff as well, which he will be in here later, for winning the toilet bowl. So the uninformed fan made a clean sweep of our big league. I won the championship. He won the toilet bowl. So, I mean, I guess we're just all champions around here. So congratulations to Jeff as well. Looking forward to next year. Now, I didn't want to get all the way into it without Jeff because I really want to stick it to him a little bit. But if you recall, when fantasy football season started on this program, I said, I've had it. I gave up last year. I didn't pay attention. I had to pay the honey pot. This year, I am all in, and I am going to win this year. You can look it back. You can do it up. Stephen A. Smith already has it on cue on ESPN First Take. I made those comments, and lo and behold, a little bit of luck, which you got to have on fantasy football. I can't wait for this right here. The trophy will be sitting right here for everyone to see. It's being engraved as we speak, so shout out to that. And now fantasy football is over for the year. Thank goodness. Say this was I'm assuming that every year is equally as challenging, but man, it seemed like at the end of the year, every team was hurt. Like even the team I was going up against, he lost. Who did he lose? He lost. He lost Njoku, and he lost Tony Pollard at the very end.
Oh man.
Which was funny because at the end of it, I saw it before him, and I picked up every single running back that was on the waiver that was available. Anybody that possibly started. So Joe texted me, and he was like, "Hey, I see what you're doing over there." I'm like, "Hey, man, we're both in shambles right now." I lost Alvin Kamara. I mean, I started Tyler Algier the last 2 games of playoffs, who got me a combined 4 points between the 2 games. So what a way to finish. We're going to get into it. Let's get into it right now. Week 18 is upon us. The end of an era, and thank God, the end of the Bears season for myself and the 3-time over there. It has been nothing short of an absolute nut shot this entire year. From coming into the year on such a high, right? We thought, hey, Matt Eberflus had that defense is rolling at the end of last year. We didn't really know who Shane Waldron was, but we did know that we had DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Cole Kmet, and Caleb Williams coming in. I wasn't a big fan of DeAndre Swift, honestly, and I was more pissed off that they let Montgomery go. I said that numerous times on here. I'm not sure that we got the best situation out of that one, but yes, to your point, DeAndre Swift is a proven back, was with the Lions for a while, went over to the Eagles, produced everywhere he went. obviously he had a much better line in Philadelphia. I mean, I think we can agree with that. That Philadelphia had one of the best offensive lines, especially with Kelce last year, that was able to hit some holes. I wasn't impressed with what he did this year, but he probably saw shit that he never had to see before in his life, coming from Detroit's offensive line to Philadelphia's offensive line to Chicago and Shane Waldron's offensive coordinator. But God, we had such high hopes. I think I took the over of 7.5 or 9.5. I don't even know, 12.5. Whatever it was, I was down, right? We opened the season.
Everybody was down. Everybody.
We opened the season 4-2. We're still riding high, and we haven't won a game since, correct?
No. It's a 10-game losing streak.
And not only have we not lost or won a game since, we've gotten more pathetic every single week. And
I'm not sure if the Patriots loss or the Cardinals loss was our most pathetic, but then we go and get our butts kicked by San Francisco 3 weeks ago. That was pretty pathetic. That was our worst loss of the season.
See, I mean, I'm not even just looking at pure numbers. I mean, I'm just looking at that Seattle game. I mean,
I have nightmares about the Detroit game on Thanksgiving.
I think the biggest mistake. Well, there's been so many mistakes here with the Chicago Bears. There's been so many mistakes. However, we had something special when Thomas Brown was upstairs calling the plays. And those were against some decent teams. Caleb Williams came into his own there. We were losing, but Caleb Williams looked great. The play calling looked great. So what did the Bears do? We fire the head coach, which justifiably so. But then we put all of this on this guy's shoulders. And it just appeared to be a little bit too much. Obviously, it just didn't work out. And so here we are, week 18. We're going up against the Fudge Packers once again for our second game. I mean, obviously, it's our Super Bowl.
It really is our Super Bowl. I put that in the lower line. This is our Bears 2024 Super Bowl. Is beat the Cheesecakes. You know, it's.
And honestly. I don't even know if I want him to win. I mean, I'm more looking at drafts now. I've been on to the draft order from weeks ago. I guess technically you might move from 9 to 10. So yeah, whatever. Try to play. But you know, the Bears players, to me, I haven't seen them playing at a high level in quite some time.
No.
In quite some time. And it appears to me that the players have completely given up. I mean, yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know what to say.
I'd say they're still playing. They've said that they're still playing for something. You know, they want to prove it. And what I hear a lot of is, you know, you prove these games are the ones you prove why you belong in the league. There's been a lot of calling for Keenan Allen to be thrown to the wayside, not re-signed. There's talk about Ryan Poles. They don't want him anymore. They don't want Kevin Warren, and it's a lot. I mean, the names that are being linked to the Bears right now, of course, is Ben Johnson. The second name that's being linked to them is who? Oh my gosh,
Mike Vrabel,
Pete
Mike
Carroll,
McCarthy, Pete Carroll,
Mike Vrabel, Mike McCarthy, which I don't want anything to do with that POS. No, there's a lot.
It's funny that people are talking about Keenan Allen, because I have heard that, and Keenan Allen to me has been the only bright side of this entire Bears offense all year long.
Yeah,
I mean, to me, DJ Moore's got to go. If that's the buy-in, now I know what he's saying in his pressers, and I know what he's putting out on social media, but I'm watching what's on the field. And I see somebody that is just disengaged. I don't know. But let's talk about that real quick before we move on. Let's talk about the head coaching thing going on. Obviously, as you said, Ben Johnson is probably at the top of the Bears list. However, Ben Johnson has coming in dick swinging. And he is making his list of things that need to happen, and apparently Ryan Poles is not on that list. Apparently I don't know if he doesn't like Ryan Poles, if he doesn't get along with Ryan Poles, he doesn't like what Ryan Poles' vision is, but to me, you haven't even had an interview.
No.
So I don't understand. And if Ryan Poles wouldn't have made the trades that he made, the Bears would have Caleb Williams, which probably Ben Johnson wouldn't want to be there if they didn't have Ben Johnson, or if they didn't have Caleb Williams. But then again, if they didn't have Caleb Williams this year, they might have the number 1 pick again this year. So, you never know here. So to me, I think Ben Johnson obviously is the number 1 target of the Chicago Bears. However, I don't see the Bears giving Ben Johnson Bill Belichick type control right off the rip. I don't see them giving that kind of control to anybody. You know, I've said it before, and you mentioned Kevin Warren. I'm one of the ones that says Kevin Warren should be fired, just simply for the fact that they didn't want to take a look at Jim Harbaugh because of whatever you had in the past with the Big Ten. That to me is a fireable offense because you're not putting the team first. He just goes out to the Chargers with Justin Herbert and Ladd McConkey and has them in the playoffs 1 year later after unloading all of their superstars.
Everything.
But he wasn't good enough for Kevin Warren, because Kevin Warren had a problem with them at the Big Ten, even though he's Bears royalty, was a Bears quarterback. He took the San Francisco 49ers to the chip. He won a chip with the Michigan, but he's not qualified enough. So, yes, I am one that says Kevin Warren is a problem. That's for damn sure. But, you know, at the end of the day, I think that we can all agree. And then we talked about this a little bit last, 2 weeks ago, whenever we talked about this, that I agree with the fact that it probably should be an offensive coordinator type guy, just simply for the fact if you get the right guy, they're there for life, right? They're there until they're just not there anymore. Where you have like a Todd Bowles in Tampa, or even, you know, what you have in Washington, Cliff Kingsbury is going to be getting looked at. Liam Cohen is probably going to be gone. They just lost Dave Canales, so now you're going through another scheme. But then at the end of the day, I sat back and I said, okay, so yes, these offensive coordinators are getting shots because they're that good. But if you have a good enough head coach and he's continuing to bring these people up to get, shouldn't he be able to find new offensive coordinator talent that finds the same thing? I mean, do we want a great offensive coordinator but a poor head coach? I think it's not as easy as we make it out to be, in my opinion.
It's a very fluid situation. You know, do you want the guy like we brought in Eberflus because he was a defensive guy, but then you get a quarterback that needs to be coached up, needs to be did this, need to do that? Do you give Ben Johnson the reins, or do you go with a more established coach, a Mike Vrabel, a Pete Carroll? I don't want to say Fat Mike, but but do you give it to a more established coach and say, all right, find the guys that need to be around you? Or, I mean, like you said, do we give the keys to the Lamborghini to Ben Johnson and say, hey man, Autobahn's over there, let's go?
I think I have to look at the Andy Reid situation in Kansas City, right?
That's the name I was going to throw out there. You want an Andy Reid, where a guy comes from a winning organization like the Eagles, he gets cast away because they don't like his narrative or whatever, and now they're on the verge of their 5th Super Bowl. I mean, they're looking for a three-peat. And
I know that he calls the plays, I think.
He does.
But Matt Nagy's heavily involved.
Heavily.
When we looked at, I always want to say Bill Bellamy.
Oh, Bill Bellamy, your arch nemesis, Eric Bieniemy.
Eric Bieniemy. I don't know why I always say Bill Bellamy.
You always say Bill Bellamy.
But then you look at somebody, and obviously Matt Nagy did not have success with the Chicago Bears.
Nope.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think that we can confidently say whoever is the next Bears coach will probably be the wrong position or the wrong pick. I think we can confidently say that, correct?
I don't want to say that. I have faith in what I believe in, and unfortunately, it's teams like the Cubs, it's teams like the Bears.
Chicago's. I mean, what me and my cousin were talking. What do we have to look forward to in Chicago?
The taste of Chicago. That's what we have to look forward to.
I mean, sports wise. I mean, the Blackhawks and the Bears are really on the same trajectory. They supposedly got the number 1 pick, the generational talent, and have gotten worse somehow.
Yep.
The Bears gotten worse somehow. The Cubs got worse, not somehow. We expected it based on the roster that they had, which they are making some moves. The Bulls are trash. They haven't been relevant since the one blip of Derrick Rose's before he got hurt. Like, what does Chicago have to look forward to on sports? Why do we continue to do this? Why do we continue to punish ourselves?
We love
because we were born in Illinois. Thanks, Dad.
We love the pain. Yeah, exactly. Well, you were.
Meanwhile, Jeffrey down here is born down in freaking Tallahassee in Florida. I mean, he got stuck with Florida State. So, I mean, that's one turd in the bowl. But the rest of the bowl is pretty okay.
Wow.
I mean,
man's not even here to defend himself.
He's here. He's here.
I know.
I see him over there. You ready to come in, Jeffrey? So before I bring Jeffrey in, okay, well, Jeffrey can hear. But to close out the Bears talk, Jeremy, 3-time, who is your ideal head coach? Who do you want?
It's not going to be a popular pick. I think you need an established coach. Like I said, I think you need a Pete Carroll type coach who brings in an offensive coordinator, or we let Thomas Brown, figure it out in the offseason, work with these guys. But I want an established head coach. I don't want the next hot shot guy. I don't want the next guy that is going to be a blip on the radar and is going to lead us for 3 years or 2.5 seasons. And then we're going to fire him midseason, and we're going to put all the blame on Caleb Williams. We're going to put all the blame on all the offensive players who, quote, aren't getting it done when we don't give them the right leadership. Give me an established guy.
Didn't we try that with John Fox?
I don't see. I think after Lovie Smith, we've had so many coaches that the carousel has just been going up and down, round and round.
It's, the Pete carousel?
The Pete. There you go.
Oh, I'm on one today, baby. The innuendos are flowing. I couldn't disagree with you more on Pete Carroll. I, you know what? He lost all credibility to me the day he did not hand the ball off to Marshawn Lynch. Okay, that right there. When you gave Brady that one, I don't know. I think that you have to go. I mean, but when we look at this coaching tree, right? We look at all of these offensive coordinators that are becoming head coaches of these hot shots, as you said. Outside of Sean McVay, and Jeff, you can do this as well. I guess it would be Mike Shanahan and McVay. Outside of those two, who has actually been successful?
And rephrase that question again. Also, good afternoon.
Good morning, Jeffrey. Welcome in.
Pleasure to be here. Just want to make sure I
highlight your own comment.
Good afternoon. What? Rephrase that question again. I didn't realize I was being brought into this.
Outside of Sean McVay,
yeah,
and Shanahan in San Francisco,
yeah,
all of these high flying offensive gurus, how many have worked out as a head coach?
Worked out in terms of winning Super Bowls?
Successful. No, it's still there. Successful.
Just Matt
successful.
LaFleur.
Yeah.
You have
same coaching staff.
Yeah, they're all
Andy
kind
Reid,
of intertwined. Right? Andy Reid was on that staff. I mean, Gruden obviously was his own entity for a little while as well too. Love the content he's putting out with Barstool right now. It's pretty electric. But Dayball. Dayball, for what he did in Buffalo, and what he did for the first couple years in New York, before. And by the way, shout out to Drew Lock for saving Dayball's job, it appears, and also saving them from making a horrendous decision with the first pick of the draft. I think you can kind of go down the list. I think offensive coaches are kind of the wave right now, if we're going to be honest.
The wave.
So. Jeremy wanting to turn back the clocks and bringing out Pat Summerall and John Madden, to coach the Bears.
Might as well put Chris Collinsworth there as a QB coach.
He wants Bill Cowher coming off the set at CBS to go ahead and be the leader of that football team because he stands with a strong chin. No, you go give Ben Johnson whatever the fuck he wants. Okay, let's be completely honest here. Whatever Ben Johnson wants, Ben Johnson can have. He is the hot coach.
Let me stop
you right there. If he wants to come, be a part of your organization and lead your organization, he's learned how to lead men through what Dan Campbell has done already. I have absolutely zero problem giving him the keys to the kingdom. He should be able to have his GM, who he wants to align with in terms of ideological philosophy for what the football team is going to look like. 1,000%. Get rid of Ryan Poles. Bring Ben Johnson in. Give him the keys to the kingdom. Sell the team. Do whatever you can. But this whole shit that you got going on right now is terrible, and it's an endless cycle that has never stopped for Bears fans. And I feel unfortunate. You're right. I've been very blessed to be born in the beautiful, wonderful, amazing state of Florida, right? A place where people from all over the world come and vacation here and want to be a part of. And I've been blessed to live here my entire life. But the fact that I've had to deal with you two and other Chicago Bears fans for the past few years has brought down my fucking morale so much and jaded me to football. It's been tough. I'm not going to lie. And it's all direct relation because of being friends with you two. So yes, I'm all
I don't want to hear that shit. If Ian and the Commanders over the previous 15 years didn't bring you down, the last 4 years of Bears football is not bringing you
First
down.
of all, it's a completely different thing because you're talking about somebody who just is there and Ian is just an enigma within himself. It is Murphy's Law. Anything bad that can happen will happen to Ian, and he'd love to tell you about it, about how bad his life is. And so there is that aspect of it. But you doing the same thing is really pissing me off right now. You being like, what do we have to look forward to in Chicago, right? You who the Cubs broke their curse. I poured champagne all over your head
8 years ago.
You who have had all the hope in the world this year coming into this football season, who constructed an incredible roster, and you came out and you shit the bed. I don't want to hear it. You who had the one of the greatest basketball players ever to lace him up, and Michael Jordan. All right, who's
one of the greatest,
who's top 2, and he's probably not 2 if we're gonna be
honest.
So
am I supposed to just keep living in my high school years?
I don't want to hear about it, bro. Like, I don't want to hear like, oh my god, I've had dynasties and like, you know, like the music, the iconicness of Chicago and what it is. I don't want to hear a poor pitiful me story, dude. I don't want to hear a poor pitiful me story. I'm
dynasties.
Done. Yes, you had
and
2
all
dynasties.
I'm saying,
how many Blackhawks Stanley Cups did you have at that time as well?
3 in 5 years. That's one.
Okay, exactly. So, like, can we just stop with the poor, pitiful me shit?
That's
Ian?
2015.
Please.
All I'm trying to tell you from a Chicago sports perspective right now, there's nothing to be excited for in Chicago. 0. That's all. If that's woe is me, then I
think you people are very woe is me. Exactly. The world's fucking smallest fucking violin, Justice, is where we're at right now.
Hey, listen, I can't help but the fact that when we actually have dynasties in Chicago, that we expect that type of greatness. And when it doesn't happen again, then we get upset.
Chicago people as well, too. This is a great day for you. Obviously, yesterday sucked with the bowl game getting postponed, but you got Notre Dame playing at 4:00 against Georgia. A chance to stomp out the SEC and shut their mouths up, you know. And we had this terrorist attack, you know.
We're not on that yet. We're not on that yet. We're not on that yet.
I'm about to go down a rabbit hole. I do want to say this too. You know, I was on the phone with you guys as I was driving down I-4, and I just want to say this: if you want to honk and be an asshole, expect the fucking smoke. Okay, especially this time of year. Don't honk at me and don't try to raise your finger and expect me just to take the high road and keep it moving. All right, it's not going to happen. I wasn't born that way. All right, and just because you want to show off in your whatever car you're driving, you know, in front of your 25-year-old girlfriend, doesn't mean I won't pull you out your car and beat your fucking ass on me. That's all I'm going to say.
Were you driving in the left-hand lane?
No, I was not. I was perfectly fine. I merged. I had my blinker on. I waited for a nice opportune time. The guy in the nice little sports car felt some type of way because he thought that, you know, he was upset with himself maybe about his small underpants. And just had to rev it and try to get there to cut me off, and then wants to flip me off and do all this other bullshit, bro. I'm not the one.
Well, welcome into the program, Jeffrey. I hope that you've had a great day.
It's been 2 weeks, bro. I was out last week. My wife's dealing with a back issue. I'm at a back surgeon. There's a lot going on right now, and I'm kind of fired up. I don't know if you can.
All right. Well, let's get into it. Since Jeffrey, we were a little bit late here. Would you like to start with the hot topic of college football today, and then we'll wrap up with the NFL?
What do you want to start with in college football exactly? The games that were yesterday? Is that what you want to talk about?
I feel like we'll just talk about college football. We'll talk about the playoffs, and we'll talk about everything that's going on. Obviously, as Jeff said, we haven't been around for a couple of weeks, so we'll touch on a little bit of first round action. I don't think that anybody thought that anything that happened there was out of the ordinary, except for maybe the Ohio State-Tennessee game, which Ohio State looks to like just a team on a freaking mission now after that flag planting in Ohio.
Yeah.
Michigan, you might have ticked off the entire college football playoffs here with that. Because we'll just parlay that into this. You know, obviously they just went up against Oregon, I apologize, 41-21 yesterday, and it was not that close.
No,
I think I looked up at one point. It was 34-0.
It was.
And then I saw Oregon score and get the 2-point conversion with 0 time left in the half. I was at Benihana, by the way, which we got to talk about. The prices of eating out right now are absolutely outrageous. And I don't know how we put that rabbit back in the hat.
It's not.
But like,
same thing with hotels.
Like, I ordered an entree. I didn't drink, right? My wife had 2 martinis. She had an entree, and we had 2 kids' meals. That was it. Check is $230.
Jesus.
Like, I didn't order anything crazy. You know, my kids ordered kids' meals. Wow.
Just a quick sidebar on how this happened. This obviously all came from COVID. And when COVID came back, everyone tried to recoup the money, so the prices were increased. The hotels are even worse. So to your point, we're going down to Tampa in a couple weeks. So we looked at we like staying at that the riverfront on Tampa, the JW, and then there's a regular Marriott right there.
Yeah,
and we're going down there for the Blackhawks game, right? So
they jack the prices up for that weekend.
Well, it's not only that. So the Edition is right across the street. And if you saw Davey Portnoy's rant about the Edition, it's the most overpriced hotel that there is. So I refuse to stay there. So the JW is going for $1,000 a night that night. Come to find out, that's where the Blackhawks are staying. So that's probably why they want to keep the peasants out of there. However, hotels, if you want a decent hotel,
you friends and family,
we're actually going to stay at the Edition. The Edition's only $500, and that's my problem. Is that now I think $500 a night for a hotel is a good deal.
Crazy.
It's just I don't want to go down that too far, but that's just really bad. So yeah.
It was crazy. But I looked over at halftime and I saw 34-8. And as somebody who held a plus 2.5 Oregon and over ticket, I could have turned to alcohol at that point, but I decided just to shut the phone off and we were going to have a nice dinner and relax.
So let me ask you a question here. I know that watching Ohio State pretty much again 42-17 didn't really seem that close as well. What possessed you seeing that team? Did you watch the Oregon Tennessee or the Ohio State Tennessee game? Did you watch it at all or just see highlights?
Yeah, I did. But also I think Tennessee has been wildly overrated this year.
I would definitely agree with that.
You're talking about one of Tennessee's best wins this year is against Alabama. Everybody else that they played on their schedule, they got beat by 14 points. So I thought
you know how I measure the SEC, Jeff, is how close Florida comes to beating them, and Florida should have beat them. Therefore, I said Tennessee is dog shit.
Well, I tried to say this the entire time is that it felt like the SEC was just a little bit overvalued in terms of we counted, and this is the reason I argued the whole ranking system thing is because we're counting quality wins and we're counting ranked wins when you're playing your own conference and your conference is elevated by a narrative and a bias that completely exists in terms of how good your programs are. I want to see Georgia play today. Obviously, Texas struggled against Arizona State, which I knew was going to happen.
Again, we talked about Texas not having any top 25 wins.
No, and also Arizona State plays with extreme heart and passion. And Kenny Dillingham, the things that he's done with that program, I think there's a certain amount of pride. I always say this too. I love guys who are coaching at their alma maters. There's something different about the pride that you have and not being a hired gun for a program. A la what we have nowadays, as where you're just, we see Cam Ward go to a bowl game and play one half to get a record and then opt out and leave his team there. I can't say a lot about that because obviously as a Florida State fan watching your whole team opt out the year before, whatever, but it does seem weird to go out, play one half, try to get the record and then step off. But he is a hired mercenary. He is not somebody who's devoted to that program.
Definitely something that you're going to have in the NIL days. Yes.
Right. And when you look at a guy like Kenny Dillingham, who made his rounds, OC at Florida State, wanted to call plays, goes to Oregon for a year, gets the head coaching job at Arizona State, back where he started and played football at. I just think it's really cool and to watch the way he's built that program. Also, let's keep in mind too, Arizona State couldn't move the ball. They're missing their top wide receiver there as well. Defense is a little bit banged up, and they were still able to kind of hold with Texas, which I thought that might be the biggest issue for me was going to be the Texas offensive line against the Arizona State defensive line. And the way that it felt like Texas's offensive line didn't play with the grittiness and the nastiness that you want to see a lot of times out of an O-line because they should have, in theory, dominated that. Now, a lot of things that we talked about with the Quinn Ewers throw on 4th and 13, was that the correct defense to play? Do you run a double blitz up the A gap? I understand it. I would do it too, because if it's me and I'm thinking about Quinn Ewers not being a mobile guy, right? You're trying to run that double blitz up the A gap. You're trying to get him out of the pocket and then try to force him to make a decision. It just so happened that the linebacker didn't drop like he should. He bit on an underneath route and it left the exposed guy wide open on the outside. Touchdown. And after that, it was pretty much game over. But that was a great game that was played. For the most part, these games haven't been very good, though. Honestly, if we're really going to talk about it, like besides that Arizona State and Texas game, and then also now coming off that, we all view Texas as frauds, right? Like we're all going to say that like Texas is probably going to get curb stomped by Ohio State, right?
Which is usually when they win.
whoever. And then so that it's really, and this is why I took that Notre Dame ticket before the playoffs started, is when you looked at paths to be able to get to the final. I just thought Georgia without Beck, the way that Notre Dame is going to be able to kind of get pressure on this kid, they're going to be able to scheme things up. And then you're going to go and play a Penn State team that, I'll be honest, I had a Boise State ticket against Penn State, and they lost by 17. And that's with 3 interceptions and 2 missed field goals. And they had the ball, the last possession of the game, to come down and get a backdoor cover. I don't believe this Penn State team at all.
Didn't Ashanti, didn't he fumble twice as well?
Ashton Jeanty.
Did he fumble twice?
2 fumbles.
Yeah. I didn't even realize I was at work. So
that's
I just
5 turnovers.
So 5 turnovers and 2 missed field goals. Every time I looked up, I felt like Boise was moving the ball. They just, same thing.
As far as the Texas-Arizona State game goes, the first half, it was just Texas dominating. And then coming out, and I don't know if you saw the Texas player that posted the thing on Instagram.
What an idiot, Simmons. What an idiot. Yeah. About Scatterby,
Yeah, but to me, Texas just thought the game was over. And the third quarter, like they were just going through the motions. Like the defense was just hanging out. Like I
feel like they should have known that when Arizona State goes for the fake punt on their own 24 with like 2 minutes to go in the half, and Arizona State ended up not scoring, right? Yeah, but like that call is a call of, okay, we gave up a punt return for a touchdown. We gave up a throwing touchdown. We got down in a hole really quickly, and Dillingham knew that they had to create some kind of magic. If they punt the ball there, Texas comes down and scores before half. They have no momentum. They're down. The game is over. Instead, Dillingham invigorates his team by calling a play and trusting his guys to do something. So I thought that was great too.
I agree. To Penn State, to me, obviously, I've been pretty low on Penn State the whole time. I've said that from the beginning. I didn't really think, but they did have some good some opportunities where I was like, okay, maybe this team can play. To your point, though, I definitely think it's whoever comes out of the Notre Dame Georgia game will face Ohio State. To the point of what you just said, this Ohio State to me team is just on a mission. And we knew it was national championship or bust. Okay, Michigan, you can keep you got the Big Ten, we got the Natty type feel. They look tough, man. And we'll see what happens. Like I said, Texas to me is just completely overrated a little bit. Like I said, the Georgia Notre Dame game, which for those of you who don't know, got postponed from yesterday. And we'll touch on that just briefly after this, because I know Jay wants to bring something in. I think whoever wins that game, I think they take Penn State out, and they're definitely in the championship. So I don't think Penn State. I think Penn State and Texas have had a good run, but it's bowed out. And honestly, I think Texas and Penn State both, for them to get to the semifinals, it was a complete victory for those programs.
I do have one thought about this, and I brought this up to one of our good friends last night who was an Ohio State fan. And I said, why were there no repercussions from that Michigan game? There were no suspensions. There was nothing that happened for the players that fought for anything. And I'm not trying to be a hater, because I did have a ticket with Boise State, Oregon, Notre Dame, all to win. I picked it. And then yesterday I picked all the underdogs. I had Arizona State, Oregon, Notre Dame to all win, and, nearly covered. But why weren't there any ramifications from that? And he just said, well, you just hate that we're win. I told you should have followed me. And I'm like, no, it's not that. Any thoughts on no ramifications from that? I mean, so that means if you want to get in a fight the last week of your season, you don't have to miss any playoff time? I mean, if NFL players did that, I mean, like, look at the NBA. We've had 3 fights in the last.
Well, I think I know you brought that up. I do believe the NFL, if that happens, that they take the suspensions during the regular season. I don't think it goes to the playoffs. I could be completely wrong, but I want to say that there was a suspension at the end of last year or something of that nature, and they were suspended for the first 4 games this year, but not during the playoffs. I could be wrong there. I don't know, but that's a good point. Being that the fact that the police were involved in that situation, I mean. I don't know.
The fact that they maced Michigan players, yeah.
Maybe it was just fines, because that's where we're at now. They're getting paid.
Be.
Maybe it's
they
just
should
fines.
Be docking their NIL pay.
Absolutely.
But I also think that NIL should be distributed evenly between revenue generating through. It shouldn't be through private vendors. It should be through the school, and it should be through television deals. But that's a whole nother ball of can of worms that we can get into as well too. I think with Ohio State, it's just kind of the perfect storm right now. Will Howard's playing really good. Nobody's getting really any pressure whatsoever on Ohio State in terms of he just has all day to throw. And when you have Jeremiah Smith, who was a 5-star recruit who came out of Miami, who was highly recruited by Miami, Florida State, and Ohio State, who signed with Ohio State on National Signing Day, but both teams were trying to flip him at the very end, who's an incredible player. And then you also have Henderson and Jukins at running back. It's a deadly combo. It really is. And
it's definitely a stacked team.
Yeah, Ryan Day's scheming it up really well right now. I would be careful on the I don't think that they're a team that can't be beat. Let me just say that.
They're not invincible.
No.
I'm on the completely other side. I believe that they have got so much confidence going right now. And like I said, the energy that they took out of that Michigan flag planting fiasco, I think that they're coming to make a statement, and I don't see anybody stopping them.
It's going to be tough. They're playing in the Cotton Bowl against Texas. I mean, that's...
yeah, and I think the one thing you do with a bully is you stand up and you punch the bully right back. And so far they've had the well, I don't know. I'm not saying Texas, but so far they've had the benefit of being really good front runners, right? They scored 34 in the first half. They score 7 in the second half. You know, so I just they've been really good front runners. When everything's going good, it's going good. I just don't know if that can be consistent throughout.
Well, as we talked about, the All-State Sugar Bowl was postponed in New Orleans due to the tragic events that happened down on Bourbon Street. Thoughts and prayers for anybody, the families that was affected by that. What is an absolute act of idiocracy by this individual. I'm not going to get into, all the conspiracy stuff about that, the flags or this, that, and the other. I've seen the multiple videos. I've seen the horrific videos. I've seen the graphic, non-blurred out videos. To me, once again, this is a failure on all levels by government officials. Apparently that road had the steel barricades in there and they were changing them out and they were active. So they just parked a police car at the end of it, which the guy just literally drove right around it. And then, then we look at what happened in Vegas with the Tesla truck coming up with, and that truck in New Orleans had bombs in it as well. And the Tesla incident, and then
there was also a terror cell as well too that they were trying to track down.
Right. So then it comes out that they're going to postpone the bowl, which at first I was like, that's ridiculous. You're letting them win. Then come to find out that there was probably 3 more people involved, and there was bombs throughout the city, which one did go off last night. I just, it's really fresh for me, I guess, because I'm rewatching Homeland, and to see what's happening, and it's literally coming to fruition, man. You had this guy that apparently was an Army vet or whatever is now flying ISIS flags. It goes into the point of what they do, and they take these fallen soldiers or disgrace, or what has America not done for you, and they have sleeper agents, and God, I mean, in Homeland there was all the way to the senator. Bro, something is happening in this country, and I wish I could say that we don't deserve it, and the innocents definitely don't, but I mean, when America drops a bomb on somebody else, there's innocence there as well. Shit's got to stop, man. This is just every day. And it's just like, it's another day in America. It's, at least that's to me, like, when I saw it, I was like, God, well, I mean, you kind of expect it. And that's fucking sad, man. When you get to these large events, things of this nature, and if something doesn't happen, then you're like, oh, that was cool. But if it does, you're like, well, what do you expect? I don't know. But
yeah, it's tough now to go to large sporting events and large events and stuff like that. We were actually talking about this. It's just you gotta understand, is the juice worth the squeeze? And it sucks to be able to say that, especially bringing 3 kids into this world like I have, and 3 boys, and trying to raise them the right way. And just it sucks to have that mindset of like, we don't want to go to large events, because I don't know what kind of crazy person's out there that might do something. It is interesting, right? The Cybertruck thing. I thought it was obviously unfortunate that the guy drives up and then detonates the bombs or whatever. And but I did think it was interesting too that the Cybertruck reacted and it didn't blow out the windows or doors.
A lot of credit was given to Elon and Tesla.
It contained the blast straight up, and then Elon immediately reached out because all the media reports were that a Tesla Cybertruck caught on fire. And you know, and so Elon had to kind of go to defend himself, and then to hear the police force being like, he's the most cooperative CEO we've ever had in our lives. He gave us all the footage of every time this truck has been put up to a charging station. And I guess all these trucks were rented off of Turo as well. And so there's that's a tough thing to think about as well too. But you know, listen, when I saw that the F-150 was an electric and that the other one was electric, I was like, well, these are definitely not Republicans. So there was that.
Yeah. It's just sad, man. It's just sad. I don't even know what to
Jeremy
say
liked
anymore.
that one.
I
Anyway,
don't know what to say anymore, man.
Jeremy, you are a Notre Dame fan. What do you think about how this is going to play out today?
I think that
to me, I think it's kind of crazy too that like you have the largest Catholic school, you know, Christian Catholic based school, you know, and you have the ISIS thing happening. It's like, you know, it's a
wow.
Stand up, you know, just
throwing that out there.
I have a lot of money on Notre Dame, and so I'm just going to go ahead and say that preface it with that is that I have bet on Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame wins this game, and it was really weird because Georgia was -1, and then like right before, or not even right before, but like right before they postponed the line flipped. It didn't even go to a pick 'em. It flipped to Notre Dame -1.
It has flipped.
So I don't know if maybe people have the same mindset I do. It's like this is
anyway. Georgia's also starting their backup quarterback, correct? I mean,
yeah, but we've known that for weeks. Why would the line? That means a large sum of money came in on Notre Dame right before, and that's why the line flipped. There's no way that they flipped the line otherwise. It's just
that's what I'm saying. It could have just been to favor, regardless of how deep Georgia's team is and how many players they have on it, to start a quarterback that hasn't started all season in one of the biggest games in the like. I don't know how they're favored to begin with, to be perfectly honest.
You know what's cool about Notre Dame too? I think they're gonna have starting next year, they're gonna have like 8 kids on their team who are former who are children of former NFL players.
Yep.
Kind of cool too. Go ahead, Jeremy. What do you think about Notre Dame today?
I'm all in on Notre Dame. I picked them before the playoffs started to win the national championship. I've got a futures bet on that. I think Marcus Freeman and the Notre Dame, they said they've been on a mission since the NIU game. Showed them that, hey, we aren't invincible, and I think they've run over teams, and I think they've done well. They can control the ball, running the ball. I think they've got a good passing situation. I think that, you know, if Riley Leonard does well and can control it, I think they've got a good shot against Georgia. I mean, we all said for the last few years, Georgia's dominance is their defensive line, and I think this year is, out of the last 4 or 5 years, this is their lowest ranked defensive line. So I don't think they have the dogs like when they had Jalen Carter and a couple of the other guys that I can't think off the top of my head, but they don't have that dominance.
Justice, no.
Wow. But I also know
you Justice, baby.
Okay, do whatever you want.
I also know that when I open up my Hard Rock app over the last week, I've taken so many L's that I don't even know anymore. Like if I
haven't reloaded my account in some time.
I've reloaded 3 times.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Does that mean you're not betting?
I haven't been in weeks. I went on a great streak there, man. I was up, and then it's the same thing I do with stocks. Then I like, all right, let's up the unit sizes, and then
I was killing it on NBA props there for a minute, and then we have been ice cold.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's gonna be. I think hopefully it's a good game, right? I mean, when we're looking at these games outside of the Texas-Arizona State game, which honestly the first half was not good, the second half I guess was good. Outside of that, these college football playoffs have been nothing short of a letdown.
And
you know what I am gonna find interesting today is that you do have Duke versus Ole Miss playing.
That game's
today.
afterwards, yeah,
and that game's at 8:00. But it's really weird because most of these teams that were like borderline to make the playoffs have
all
come
lost.
out and absolutely shit the bed.
And shout out to the Fighting Illini who took out South Carolina. My secondary hometown team. Correct. And then, of course, Michigan takes down Alabama. Now, I will say this, and again, I said that Alabama did not deserve to be in there. I said it. You had the embarrassing losses. And of course, Alabama fans and now even South Carolina fans are obviously coming out. I don't know in this NIL days if who all continues to play, when you're not in a playoff game, because it doesn't really mean shit to these guys anymore. I do think that the NIL contracts should make it to where they have to play in. Big shout out to Deion Sanders for taking out the insurance policy on his kids to ensure that they played. They got whooped. Their whole team played. I think that we can end this narrative of who got in, who deserved it, because all of the teams, as you said, the bubble teams have all lost to inferior teams on paper or on rankings. I don't know if you did get to watch the Illinois-South Carolina game. It was quite spicy.
I did see that Beamer and Belima. Pretty crazy.
I wasn't watching it with sound, but I kept watching the frustration of the South Carolina coach on the substitutions and having to call timeouts and all of that. And then I was watching when the injured player came over and the coach just looks at him and gives him the substitution. Oh my God, he just went ballistic, dude. I said, I go, you're lucky you won, Illini. You're lucky you won because you just gave that team something to fight for.
We had a few fans that were staying at the hotel. There was a few, like I was walking by and there was a few people that were like saying something to each other, and I was just like, yeah, it's a bowl game. I love the passion. I love the college football passion, but I'm just like, hey, it's a bowl game. I am so
proud of the Fighting Illini and the University of Illinois for not only that you have a better program in the works than Florida and some of these bigger name schools with way less of the NIL money. You came down here, and I thought that, honestly, I didn't think it was going to be a very good game. I mean, South Carolina at times has looked like they could compete with anybody. Illinois always just seemed to got it done by the skin of their teeth type thing. For them to come down, absolutely huge win for the Illini program, even though it was, like you said, a meaningless bowl game. To get that notch, regardless of whatever you want to say about the SEC this year, obviously we both can agree it's a down year. You beat an SEC team on a neutral field. That should continue to help the recruitment process in Illinois. And my Illinois fans back home, I got nothing but love for you. I love to see you succeed. I was wearing my one and only University of Illinois t-shirt while I was watching it. Shout out to the mother-in-law that got me that for Christmas. But yes, very, very big win. Very, very happy for the University of Illinois. Hopefully it continues your program. Would love it. Nothing more than to see that program succeed.
Yeah, so I would normally be all over the Duke plus 17 here, but I don't think you can bet it at all for the simple fact.
Do you know who's all playing? I mean, that's my biggest concern.
So Duke is down there starting running back. Malik Murphy hit the transfer portal, and Duke's backup quarterback hit the transfer portal. So we are on quarterback 3, and I don't think that the backup running back for Duke is probably a 5-star who has just been an All-American. So yeah, here we are. Anything
to wrap us up on the NCAA before we move on to the big boys?
I'm just preparing for my first parlay lost of the year. My brother said it was a party in Champaign for that win. I will be taking Notre Dame in the under today.
I'm not betting it. I'll tell you this. We've talked about college bets a few times on here. And I think it was actually the first round. I said, remember, I was going to take all of the dogs as a teaser, and every single one of them lost. And that's why I'm like, this is why I didn't put it in. But I'm like, this is why. I know you said
I took all the dogs yesterday.
So I will take full responsibility if you did lose that one. I just don't know about college. Remember we were talking about weeks ago, the last show, we said Tennessee, SMU, and I do believe it was Clemson, and
Indiana.
We said put them all in.
I didn't like Indiana.
No,
I don't think we took Indiana.
Yeah. Indiana was the one, and the only team that I didn't like, and Indiana was the one that I think probably did the best as well too. So,
well, they also gave up some late points. To me, like I said, I mean, Notre Dame had the game in hand. They didn't give a shit if they scored on the second half or whatever. Anything to wrap us up on NCAA before we move on to the big boys?
No, I'm just looking forward to this, coming to a head,
Absolutely.
It's fun, though. It is fun, right? Like, this playoff is fun. Even though the games have sucked, it's still fun that, like, we still have,
meaningful games.
5 teams going down to 4 teams today that are left in this thing. So
a lot of stuff being talked as well, though, about the buys and how the teams coming off the buys are all struggling. Well, to me, that's a moot point because the regular 4-team college playoff that we had, they waited 2 weeks or something before that first game anyway.
Can we be honest? They fucked the seeding up this entire thing.
That's I said that.
And if they didn't, it would be completely different. Oregon got completely screwed with the number 1 seed, and then they have to play the winner of Ohio State and Tennessee. They already played Ohio State this year. They got jobbed when it came to that, and that it's very unfortunate because I know Phil Knight is really trying to hold on to having that one last. You know, he wants a national championship for Oregon before he dies, and this was the year, if any. That they had the opportunity to do it, and
they had a better quarterback
on the seeding. I mean, Gabriel is like the guy who's been everywhere, right? Like Dylan's been everywhere. He's not going to be a pro.
Could be an all Big Ten final.
Dylan Gabriel's what, 25?
No, he's not
24.
That old.
He's 24.
23.
He's old for college.
He's like 24.
He's not Bo Nix if we're looking at it.
We can move on to NFL. Just let's do the playoff picture if we can. Kind of how.
Yeah. So moving on to NFL. First of all, I do want to congratulate you, Jeffrey. You weren't here on your toilet bowl win. We happen to bring up that the uninformed fan, we won the top bracket and the lower bracket in the big league. So shout out to Jeffrey.
No idea. I didn't even set my lineup.
Well, there it is. You still got it.
I haven't set my lineup in any league in a couple of weeks. That's interesting.
Well,
okay.
It was last week. So
this is the first I'm hearing of it. I was not aware.
You don't even look at what did you delete?
Who won the
fantasy
league?
Group
you
chat?
won the league, right? You won the league.
Hold on, pause. Have you not looked at the fantasy group chat?
No, I haven't.
What are you doing?
What do you mean? There's nothing in the fantasy group chat.
What are you talking about? We've been in the fantasy group chat since the 27th.
Oh shit! I have 90. For some reason, it turned off my notifications. I have 90 notifications in here.
I
thought it was dead. I thought nobody said anything. Why did it stop giving me notifications?
Oh boy,
that's weird.
Yeah,
all right,
you got a lot to catch up on. So
I got a lot
so
to catch up on.
Mark even put it out there. Hey, Jeff's playing for the Toilet Bowl championship. Like, let's get it out there. He congratulated you. Yeah, of course, your boy won. Your boy won.
Yeah, so, congratulations to you.
Thank you. It was like me and Jeremy were talking about the championship week of these new Christmas Day games are absolutely abysmal.
Sucks, man.
Abysmal. We talked about this. We talked about, do I start Josh Downs or start Bateman? Well, coming off of it, you did, but you didn't hear why it didn't, because Devontae Adams, T. Higgins, and I think Bateman were all questionable.
Yeah.
So, and Devontae Adams, actually more T. Higgins. T. Higgins ended up being a game time decision. So if I would have started Josh Downs and then T. Higgins or somebody couldn't have gone, I had nobody to put in. And then I would have ended up like Joe, who Joe had, who did I say it was, Jeremy? Tony Pollard. Who got sick right before. So I went and I picked up all of the running backs. I picked up anybody. I dropped my whole team. And I picked them all up. So Joe texted me because I see you over there. I'm like, bro, we are in shambles.
Hey, it is
it is what it is. But yes, it was quite the season. You know, shout out. And of course, Buff's not here today. Like I said, shout out to Buff. He obviously had an amazing season. Just had that 1 week where just.
How many years has it been since you won?
I've never won that league.
Is this your first?
I've never won that league. I think I've been in there for 5-6 years.
Not longer than that.
Nah, I didn't get in until late.
No, you got in. It's been longer than that. I met you when I got married 10 years ago. You were
definitely was 10 years ago, Jeff. Quit trying to diminish me.
Yeah, but
I took over for someone
2 years ago. You took over for someone. I mean, I'm sorry. 2 years after that, you took over for someone.
I don't know. We'll have to look. I'll have Mark bring it up.
Whatever, it is what it is.
Been to the playoffs, but now that you're here, I did point out to Jeremy, if you remember on this show when we first got to fantasy football and we were talking about how I had the toilet, right, and how I was in last place, I made a commitment to you, to all the fans out there and everybody in the league, that I was going to put my head to the stone this year. I was going to pay attention to the waiver wire, and I was going to win this year.
Do you think paying attention to the waiver wire won you the league this year?
Yes.
Who's your best waiver wire pickup?
Keenan Allen.
Yeah, why did Mark drop him?
Well, me and Mark talked about this afterwards. He goes, I cannot believe I dropped it. I go, well, because based on paper, what was happening, this was before they fired Waldron. It didn't look good, right? But I saw Caleb, and I told him, I had the painful process of watching every single Bears game from start to finish. When you watch every single Bears game, you know that Caleb Williams and Keenan Allen have the rapport. It's those two. It's nobody else on that team. So that's why I picked them up. But I did look at mine and Buff's team, and I think it was like 80% of our team was straight drafted. But I will tell you this: one thing that I did
less than have a lot of injuries too. You know.
Oh, we had a lot, and I rolled with no Alvin Kamara. I rolled with Tyler Algier through the playoffs, who got me a total of 4 points. But yeah, it was good. It was good, man. It was good. More so, not necessarily the waiver wire, but not necessarily picking people up through waivers. If you look, like, I made sure that I was the number one waiver wire come week 16 or whatever it was, 14.
Yeah, you used to always complain about that, but there's definitely a strategy to it. For sure. Letting waivers process and then picking up whoever you want after waivers process.
So I stayed at the top of the waiver wire all year long until I needed it for that 1 week. And to your point, your credit, I did just take the L that week that half my team was out. But yeah,
you were trying to trade with me, and I was like, "You got a great team." I was
also trying to trade Kamara, which that would have worked well for me since he didn't even play. But yeah, but I also wanted Roschon Johnson, who got hurt. It was, and you know what? I'll tell you the main thing I can attribute this year, Jeffrey, and everything is not drafting Bears players.
But Keenan
Allen, that is the key. I picked up Keenan Allen only after he was proven that I saw what was happening. I picked up the Bears defense, right? Oh, so you want to talk about waiver wires? So not only waiver wires, I picked up the Philadelphia Eagles. I picked up the Atlanta Falcons, who put up 28 points in the first round of playoffs.
Yep.
And I had the Cowboys that picked up and put up another 28 points. So my defense is like the last 3 weeks is 28, 25, 28. Those were some big ones that I just kind of stashed when people were dropping defenses throughout the year. So yeah, it was a great time.
Speaking of NFL,
round of applause out there, all you fantasy football.
And congratulations to Tyson Thomas. But speaking of fantasy and NFL, and obviously one of the guys who is probably the number one guy in fantasy football, if you draft him, Saquon Barkley this year, was absolutely a monster, absolutely incredible. Jeremy, I guess I'll ask you, what are your thoughts on Saquon not playing to break Eric Dickerson's record in Week 18?
Well, we had a good discussion with a Philly fan last night about this while we were playing some cards. And I like his position where he said he doesn't want him to play because of fear of injury. That is a very thing that makes a thing that you think about that could happen. I think
especially at MetLife Stadium, the turf that's killed a lot of careers, and
turf monsters killed a lot of people.
Aaron Rodgers was a human being. Yeah, no, I agree. So you agree with him sitting out though?
I do. I think, him going for the record was good. I also, what I wanted was for him to break the record against the Giants because,
for sure
they let him go. I mean, the comment from the GM was, well, it's not like he's going to rush for 2,000 yards next year, is what he said during Hard Knocks. And it's like, yeah, he did. Guess what? And if he had I think it would be cool to see him break the record there. But I agree with not playing him because of fear of injury. I agree with that.
I thought we talked about this a little bit on pre-show. I thought they should have just kept running him in Dallas. He could have got it right then. And I was going up against him in the champion, and I was nervous because he had like 70 yards, and the next thing I know, he's got 140, and I'm watching Dallas, knowing that they're just running the ball to run the clock out, and this dude just hitting holes the size of Mack trucks. I thought, and he was asking for one more play. I thought they should have gave him that drive to finish it regardless. Yeah. I think they would have scored there, or he actually even laid down. I thought that they should have left him in for that game. That Dallas defense isn't hurting anybody.
I was going to ask this too, because I do think that there should be these arguments. Because if we just have, Eric Dickerson's argument of, he might break the record, but it's not in the same amount of games that I played. Well, now, are we just going to throw any record out, or is there any kind of?
I think there's got to be asterisks.
I completely disagree, because here's my thing: is that Saquon still had less carries than Eric Dickerson and had a chance to break the record with less carries than Dickerson. So do we really care about games played, or do we care about touches? Do we care about carries? Like, at what point do we say that there's no way we can't just throw out any record that's before 1996 or that's after 1997 because we had an extra game on it now? You know, I just I don't understand where we draw that line.
That's why I think you still hold the record, and whoever breaks the record is still the record. But I think there needs to be an asterisk to say that he played in 2 more games. Just even if, like you said, that the carries are less. However, there's just more opportunities, and I think that if you go to start looking at some of the records that are probably going to be broken further down the line, I don't think that will be the case. Now, if there was something as far as like average per carry or something like that, I don't know. But to me, like I don't know. I mean, because we're talking about passing now. If you condense the NFL in the same games, well, this is obviously a much more pass heavy NFL this year.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like
arguments about what Dan Marino would do in this day and age and so on and so forth.
Yeah, correct. So I understand what you're saying. However, I think it needs to be looked at. I mean, when Eric Dickerson played, it was 1 game less.
Yes.
Or 2.
Yeah. I think it was 1 game less.
Yeah, they had 16.
I mean, so to me, I think that would have been even more important to have him break the record last week. He was already moving. He was already juiced. The legs were lubed. The Dallas couldn't stop him.
Jesus.
Yeah, the legs were lubed, baby. Like, just let him go finish it. You had Kenny Pickett starting. You knew you weren't gonna play him next week. You knew it. As much as I think it would have been awesome, to Jeremy's point, to have him break the record against the Giants, which I think would be the epitome of everything. I understand not playing him, but I do think, though, if you're going to add more games and we're talking about total yardage, I think there's just got to be a little tick there that says, hey, I'm not trying to discredit the record, just saying he did play in an extra game. But I understand also the argument of saying, well, still had less touches. Completely understand that argument as well. So I don't know what you do. I mean, to me, it's like baseball. I think all of the steroid era players should all be in there, and no action.
I agree.
So I think it's touchy. It's touchy.
Personally, I think they should let all athletes take steroids at their own,
Absolutely. Who gives a shit?
Not
in track and field and stuff like that. Like,
there should be more of a negative effect
to
taking them than just shrinking your balls.
Imagine seeing gladiators, bro, that are just juiced and roided out of their minds in the ring. Like, that's what I want to see.
Yeah, I want a linebacker that has muscles on top of muscles, that is just absolutely just roided out of his head trying to go kill a quarterback. I think that'd be fun.
I want to see a silverback gorilla coming out of the backfield, running through at a bunch of grizzly bears and see who wins.
You can't say that. That's
why not?
Okay. We were talking about records. I do want to point a few things out that were on the board coming in. I do believe Mike Evans needs 85 more yards to get 1,000. I think there's a touchdown thing in there. 5 catches as well, too. Hits a $3 million bonus. So if you're looking to take some daily plays, that's a great play for you as well. Who else was on there as well?
Let's stick with that, and let's do this props at the same time, because the Bucs luckily still have something to play for this week. It is definitely a win and in for the Tampa Bay Bucs. So
God bless the Redskins. Just unbelievable.
I'll tell you, dude. I didn't think they were going to do it.
Did you see the video of the bar in Atlanta?
Yes, when
they all thought that he made the kick, and they're going crazy. And there's one guy in the corner like, he missed it.
Yeah, I mean, when I'm watching it real time, though, you had to think the same. As soon as it's up in the air, the way the kicks are going, as long as it's down the middle, you're thinking it's in. And it was.
And then I saw it hit the middle of the end zone. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, I was like,
that was so short.
What?
Yeah, dude.
Middle of the end zone? No way. It's
what
crazy.
A roller coaster of emotions.
I was like, holy shit. And then we had the shot at it, and then we get the toss, and I'm just like, dude, like, this is incredible. And then you see the guy too. I think Zach Ertz has a prop this week as well. But there's a guy who had a 2-touchdown parlay. And it was like,
never take the early cash out.
Well, he cashed out before they kicked the field goal.
I understand that.
So it's like
$15.
It was $15 for like $60,000. And
$15.
he needed a second touchdown from Zach Ertz. And when the guy went to go kick the field goal for the Falcons, he decided the cash out button for like $6,000 or something like that, or 600. I don't know, whatever it was.
$1,500.
Something like that. Anyway, he made 100x his money. It was fine. But at the same time, if you would have let it ride, then they come back, they get the ball, Ertz scores the touchdown. His 15 turned into 67,000, and the book.
That's why I lose a lot of those bets, or I did lose those bets, because I'd have Bianca chirping on me, cash it out. I'm like, I ain't no bitch. Like, if I couldn't afford to lose to $15, like, is that
right?
And that's, I guess, everybody's different, but like, if that's the last $15 that you have to feed yourself at McDonald's, then you probably shouldn't have been putting on a stupid plus 50,000 parlay,
$70,000 parlay for $15. So you probably should have gone and bought the Happy Meal and figured it out.
Don't be a bitch.
But yes, very excited as a Bucs fan just to be able to have the opportunity to win the division for the 4th year in a row. And to really
after because we haven't been here in a couple of weeks. Yeah. After they fumbled the Dallas game, bro, I was like,
man, that was tough.
That's it.
That was a crushing, heartbreaking blow. Because I just knew that we allowed ourselves to be opened up to vulnerability there. But shout out to Washington, man. And it's funny, Jayden Daniels coming down the stretch, it's just like some guys got the clutch gene and the ability
that automatic already.
He like moves the pocket so well, and he's so mobile. I mean, you even watched it like that last possession in overtime. It was just Jayden Daniels like designed runs over and over and over again, and they couldn't stop it. It was 6 yards at a time, and it just
very curious. Obviously, we're talking about the end of this year, but I'm very curious to see next year
sustainability wise.
Because we saw CJ Stroud break all the records, and this year he has been a shell of that.
Very different. I also think too, if you look at CJ Stroud's numbers that he has with Tank Dell and without Tank Dell, he's a shell of himself, because having the ability to have a guy who can take the top off and also be able to hurt you on the intermediary. I mean, let's keep in mind, CJ Stroud lost Stephon Diggs. He also lost Tank Dell for the year as well. Both were in and out being injured. Nico Collins missed a bunch of time as well.
No, I'm not giving him that.
And they
not after what he showed last year.
They still won the division, made the playoffs. Now, has he had regression this year? Absolutely. Now, do I think that Jayden Daniels needs to reach out to Lamar? Absolutely. Because he needs to figure out how to stay healthy. And whatever Lamar does, he reminds me so much of Lamar in the way that he's taller, right? But in the way that he moves and the way that he knows when a play is broken down. He sees as soon as DBs or linebackers turn their back, he's gone. And it's just this innate, beautiful thing to be able to see. So I don't know. I just think he needs to reach out to Lamar in the offseason, figure that out. But shout out to the Commanders making it into the playoffs. Shout out to the Commanders for also getting the Bucs into the playoffs as long as we handle business against the Saints. But,
and Lamar Jackson was the number one fantasy player. And to your point, Saquon Barkley was the number one position player.
I think if you drafted Saquon, because
5 quarterbacks.
Can we also say this too? Jalen Hurts, how many tush pushes this year as well, where he probably stole a touchdown from Saquon. So Saquon's numbers could have been even greater had it not been for that. But yeah, I mean, there's a possibility that you got Saquon in probably the middle second round. And some people got him in the first, but I took him fourth.
I took him 4th or 5th overall.
That's great for you. I'm just saying that there's a lot of people who got him in the second round. That's all I'm saying.
I'll tell you, the fantasy, the Christian McCaffrey situation this year is going to send fantasy into the loophole next year. I will say that. If somebody had the number 2 pick, I wasn't taking him regardless. I had made up my mind all the way in. It was Bijan all the way, who actually, ended up being the number 4 overall back. Probably not worthy of the number 2 pick, but I mean, how are you going to, project what King Henry did? But yeah, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Chase Brown was ridiculous. Chuba Hubbard was ridiculous this year. I mean, there was so much value kind of in later drafts as well, too, when it came to some of these running backs. So
absolutely. So yes, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers go into this week with their playoff hopes in their own grass. Saturday is the AFC Bowl. We have all 4 teams playing on Saturday. The Cleveland Browns are going into the Baltimore Ravens, and that line has now moved again, 19 now, which they could clinch the division with a win or Pittsburgh loss or tie versus Cincinnati. I fully expect Cincinnati to win this game. I obviously expect Baltimore to win as well. However, I am a little bit disappointed. I was asking Jeremy earlier. I didn't realize that the Bengals played the Dolphins already, but The Bengals just need way too much to get, unfortunately. They need both the Denver to lose against the Kansas City team that's not going to play their starters, and they need Miami to lose as well in order to get in. And let me tell you, out of the season that Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Chase Brown is having on the offensive side of the ball, it's going to be an absolute travesty that team is not in the playoffs, and we're not going to get to see Joey Ice in the playoffs and work his magic.
It sucks. I do have a ticket that I punched before the year started of a exact Super Bowl of the Cincinnati Bengals and the Philadelphia Eagles. And so I keep on, I'm like, how is this still alive? I keep on checking back, but sure as shit it is. And so, listen, who knows? You never know. Maybe Rodgers steps up his last game. I don't think Miami usually plays very well in New York. Also, I don't know if Tua is playing this week.
He's not.
Yeah, so Tua's out.
Snoop Huntley's playing.
You got Huntley going.
I'm more worried about the Denver Broncos.
Well, and here's what I'll say about that is I'll say that Cortland Sutton has a bonus in there as well too. I believe for yards and a touchdown, so I would definitely take the prop on that. But if you're looking at it as well, you know, the Chiefs secondary is really banged up, and the fact that they don't have any incentive to play anybody in this game, I think plays into it. I almost need Dan Campbell just to go and, you know, be a part of that team for 1 week. But yeah, I mean, Denver at home against a Kansas City team that's going to start Carson Wentz and God knows who else on an offensive line that's already terrible, going into Broncos defense that has a great pass rush and a secondary in Surtain that has been locked down, as well as the who's the other kid, the white kid they have.
He just got cooked by T. Higgins.
Yeah, got cooked.
What's his name
21.
now?
I want to say Ward, but I don't think that's right.
No, Riley something, Riley Moss. I don't know. Anyway,
Moss.
He's been Moss. Yeah, he's been really good this year as well too. Obviously, T. Higgins did T. Higgins thing, so it'd be interesting to see what happens.
Well, yeah, it was kind of funny that they basically just went at the other guy because I mean, Surtain had Jamar Chase, and so they were just. And, you know, shout out to all of you Cincinnati fans over there as well. Even though you might not get in the playoffs this year, T. Higgins did come out and say he's willing to take less money to stay on that team. Because
can I say this too?
In his words, as he said, he has the best quarterback. He has one of the best receivers. And why would you not want to stay on that team?
Do the Packers have anything to play for this week? They can't win the division. They're not going to have a home game.
They're playing all of their starters.
I love Chicago in this spot.
Well, I'm sorry, Jeff. We're talking about teams that actually are still in it.
I know. I just looked at it. I saw the line was 10. 10 is asinine for a divisional game in the NFC North, especially for a team that might throwing a incentive parlay in as we speak. Good. Especially for a team that I don't think will have a lot to play for in the second half of this game. So, yeah, and I think the Bears will try to play their ass off for Thomas Brown and to finish the season strong on a high note. I don't
think so. I think that they pretty much quit. So, and I've quit on them as well.
Oh, here we are.
Yep.
Anything else you want to review NFL-wise?
Yeah, so we already went over the AFC North there. Let me bring this back up over here. We talked about this. About Saquon not playing. I don't think that's anything to do with it either.
Huh?
I don't think that has anything. Let me see. 18. I just lost my tab here.
I just lost my mouse.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. So we already went through the AFC North. Then we have obviously the Falcons and the Bucks that are still in. They have to win versus Carolina, and they have to have a Tampa Bay loss against New Orleans, which
we're back.
I don't like this. I don't like it for the Bucks. I know that you have all this. We've seen it before when something happens in the city of New Orleans, the team rallies together.
Yeah, if we were playing in New Orleans.
I'm just saying. You're not?
No, it's in Tampa.
Why does this say? Okay. So never mind. I still think that'll be in the back of their mind. So then we have these Sunday night.
They're hyper focused. Todd Bowles has come out and said this is a divisional game. It doesn't matter. We're going to be as locked in as we possibly can be. And I think after we saw, remember what the Bucks did to them there. right? That was a beatdown in New Orleans. And so I would expect the exact same thing to happen here, and just go ahead and,
what's the over-under on a Lattimore versus Evans fight?
Well, Lattimore is in Washington now.
Oh, that's right. Never mind. I forgot.
There is that.
I forgot about that.
So
if Lattimore was there, I'd be worried about the Mike Evans props, but he's not. So
the only other game that we have is actually Sunday Night Football, which for the first time in the NFL schedule will determine the number 1 seed and the playoff implications between the Detroit Lions and the Minnesota Vikings, which that is going to be an awesome game. We finally get a primetime game that we can actually enjoy week 18 that actually has meaning. And it should be a barn burner, man. I cannot wait for that game. Obviously, they're in domes up there. Everything will be grip it, rip it. That's going to be a good one, man. The Lions are favored by 3, but if you talk to Jeffrey, that's just because they're playing at home, and they always give them 3 points if they're playing at home.
Yeah. If it was a neutral side, it'd be a pick 'em. Basically.
The only last thing that we can talk about a little bit here is the MVP. Just a real quick scenario. Obviously, if you watch anything with the mainstream media, you see that Dan Orlovsky has been campaigning for Joe Burrow. I 100% agree with him. In fact, I couldn't agree with him more as far as what Joe Burrow has done. Lamar Jackson, to me, is still above Josh Allen. I don't know. To me, it's just one of those things, as I talked about. Lamar's already won it twice. They're probably just going to throw him out. I mean, they're just going to throw him out, unfortunately. I mean, we're talking about Joe Burrow. I mean, Jared Goff not getting any love. Again, Saquon Barkley. I mean, if we're going to call it a QB MVP award, then let's just call it a QB award. But to me, it just seems like, and I understand that they touch the ball every single time, but what Saquon Barkley has done in Philadelphia is pretty much put the team on his back. And when they have struggled with the passing game, they are the reason that they are succeeding. I think to leave him out of the conversation is absolutely asinine. And just to say that we're going to hand it off to Josh Allen, to me, is absolutely asinine as well. I mean, to me, Josh Allen's like 3rd on mine. But again, here we are.
I got Allen versus Burrow. I think those are the top 2 guys.
I got Lamar Jackson, hands down. I don't think there's any way that Lamar Jackson loses this. He won it last year. His numbers are stupid. I do think there's also, like, Baker Mayfield has more touchdowns than Josh Allen.
As a Baker Mayfield ticket holder, I completely agree.
What are we talking about?
Well, I think the debate, the love gets lost on his interceptions. That's where the love gets lost.
It's not even that egregious.
Yes, it is.
Turnover.
Lamar Jackson has 4 interceptions in the year.
Okay, I'm saying Josh Allen turnovers total turnovers, and Baker Mayfield total turnovers. I don't think it's that crazy.
Baker Mayfield put up 4 in a game.
So did Jared Goff. He threw 5 picks.
Well, we're not talking about Jared Goff, are we? We're talking about Josh Allen. Hold on. Let me see if I can bring this.
Josh Allen.
While
Josh Allen does has the only receiving touchdown of a quarterback. So
fuck that guy. No, seriously. I mean, good for him, bro. He's probably got like a 12-inch hog, and he's got Haley Steinfeld, and he's fucking can hit a golf ball a mile and hit softballs out of fucking MLB.
Baker Mayfield
does everything. It's incredible.
Thrown 15 interceptions this year.
Okay,
that's not going to win you MVP.
It is what it is. I'm just saying. Touchdowns.
I agree with you. I mean, when you just looked at the straight scoring factors on, Baker Mayfield, I do believe was number 2.
I mean, how do you not have Saquon and King Henry in there as well too? I mean, there's.
Lamar Jackson number 1, Joe Burrow number 2, and Baker Mayfield was the number 3 scorer in fantasy football. I know we're not talking about fantasy football, but Josh Allen was 4th, and we want to talk about Josh Allen's carrying touchdowns to leap him over. He still was outpaced by Baker Mayfield, who had a 71.7 completion rate. Josh Allen 63.6. Baker's thrown for almost 4,300 yards. Josh 3,700 at an 8-yard attempt versus 7.7. He has thrown 11 more touchdowns than Josh Allen. He's also been sacked double the rate, and he has thrown, unfortunately, 8 more interceptions. So where does the 11 more touchdowns? Didn't have
Godwin and Evans were out for a long time too. I mean, there's
I'm glad you brought that up because I'm looking back at that game, bro. I'm looking back at that game again. Man, if you guys still had Chris Godwin going into this playoffs, holy fuck sticks, bro.
He might be back depending on how deep of a run we make. We'll see. So
really? Did he break his leg?
Yeah, his ankle, but they surgically repaired. Anyway, I do want to point out a few things. Century 2025 Century Open golf season is underway. From Chatty Daddy sent me a few picks to our group today. The favorites that we were taking were Sahith Theegala and Akshay Bhatia. If you're looking for long shots, you got Eric Cole, you have Nicholas Echeverria, and Cam Davis as well too. So if you're looking to bet golf, I did want to throw that out there. Century does start, golf season kicks out underway as well. Justin, what are you saying? What was your dumbass brother trying to say on COD? Oh, I don't remember.
Talk about a sidetrack. So obviously at the end of this year, this week, we will have the NFL draft order. Shout out to the Giants for not even being able successful to lose. They lose the number 1 pick. I've heard some wild shit coming out of this draft and with the Patriots. Your boy Nick, what's his name again?
Nick Wright.
Yeah, he's doing that because Kevin is a Patriots fan, his co-host.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Your brother was saying Joe Burrow ain't shit, and I almost had a meltdown yesterday on COD.
That could have been. That is the uninformed fan right there. But right now, as it sits, the New England Patriots have the number 1 pick, followed by the Cleveland Browns, Titans, Giants, and Jags. The Bears are holding on to number 9. I think it's going to be very, very interesting. I actually liked his proposal, even if it was for shit. If you want Shedeur Sanders, you go get Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah.
You trade Drake May,
top 5.
and you go get Travis Hunter, and then you bring in Dion, and there you go. I mean,
they said Gerard Mayo is going to come back next year, though. So,
well, of course they're saying that, but you're telling me if you can get Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter, and Dion has an interest, Dion's not an upgrade over Mayo. Do you think?
You get rid of Mike McCarthy then, and let's do the same thing. Let's just get rid of Micah Parsons. Let's get rid of CeeDee Lamb. Let's get rid of
who are you talking about getting rid of? Who are the Patriots
Dak
getting rid of?
I'm saying the Cowboys. You could trade all those for some top picks and see what happens.
Well, the Dallas Cowboys.
I just don't see Dion going to New England. I don't think.
No.
It's like the most racist city in the U.S. Right, Justice?
Gerard Mayo's doing well up there. I'm sure he's getting called some names. We'll see what happens over there.
All right.
Yeah. On that note, how is that comment good? But my silverback gorilla versus a grizzly bear, it's not acceptable.
I'm empathizing with Justice.
I think Justice doesn't need our empathy.
Yes,
all right, that's gonna do it for us today on the Uninformed Fan. Happy week 18. Congratulations again for those of you that did well in fantasy football. Make sure to piss all over the peasants in your league that did not win, and make sure that you razz them every single day. R Street for 4 years now. You see the one with the kid?
Come back to Florida, bro.
It's like, yeah, I said it the hard R.
Oh, yeah. They're like, oh, tell me something that your mom doesn't know, and I'll buy you the whatever pair of shoes you want. And he's like, I say the N-word with the hard R. And he's like, oh, shit.
You got to keep these kids in check. I hope everybody had a great Christmas, great holiday, great New Year. We will see you again next week. What bar at Panama City was your favorite for me? Mine's gone. It was the Beachcomber. Mine was in Panama City, the Beachcomber. I was $21, $50, all you could drink beer all week long. In the club shut down too. What was the club?
La Villa, and
I went in there.
Spinnakers.
I was out on bond, and I went there. I got picked up from Leon County, bonded out, went straight to Panama City. Didn't have an ID. They wouldn't let me in the club. I had a fake ID. The guy goes, "This is definitely fake." I'm like, "I'm sorry." He goes, "Put it in your pocket. Take the X on your hand. You're not drinking tonight. Go fuck off."
That's how stupid it was there. Like I was literally holding glow sticks
gave it back to me
on the dance floor, looking for shit, and having just random people come up and be like, "You look, yeah."
He's like, "You're an idiot." I had a black eye too. We got in a fight. It was just
shocker. Jeff's hood days.
Times were different.
We'll see you next week, everybody. If you're driving out over this next week, please, for the love of God, don't follow Jeffrey's advice on I-4 and stay out of the left-hand lane.
Yeah, be great. If you want the smoke, come get it.